Are you being denied a bank account or facing issues with your financial status? Understanding how to get your early warning services report for free is the first step to taking back control of your financial future. Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to demystify a hidden, incredibly powerful part of the banking world. We're talking about a massive, behind-the-scenes system that banks use every single day to make decisions about your money. And most importantly, we're going to show you exactly how to access your own data within that system.
So let's talk about that for a second. If you've ever had a bank suddenly turn you away, just completely deny your application for a basic checking account without a clear reason, it can be incredibly frustrating, right? Well, today we're going to give you the exact step-by-step playbook to figure out why that happens and how to fix it.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. What early warning services actually is. 2. Your legal consumer rights. 3. How to get your report. 4. Reading your EWS file. 5. Disputing errors and taking action. And finally, 6. Keeping your EWS report clean. All right, let's dive into Section 1. What is early warning services? The hidden financial gatekeeper. Okay, so what exactly is Early Warning Services, or EWS for short? Well, basically, it's a nationwide specialty consumer reporting agency and a fintech company. They're based out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and what they do is track deposit account risk, suspected fraud, and your check writing history. Think of them as the ultimate gatekeeper. Over 2,500 financial institutions in the U.S. use EWS to screen your application before they ever even think about handing you a debit card. Now, here is where it gets really interesting. Who actually owns this massive database? EWS isn't just some random independent data broker. No, it is literally co-owned by 7 of the biggest banks in America. We're talking Bank of America, Capital One, JP Morgan Chase, PNC Bank, Truist, US Bank, and Wells Fargo. That kind of explains why they hold so much power, doesn't it? Oh, and fun fact, if you've ever used Zelle to zap some money to a friend, well, you've used EWS because they actually operate the entire Zelle payment network too. So you might be wondering, how is this any different from my regular credit score? It's a great question. Traditional credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, they track your loans, your credit cards, and how you repay your debt. But EWS, they are looking directly at your checking accounts, your savings accounts, and your overall deposit risk. That is exactly why someone with a flawless 800-level credit score can literally walk into a bank and still be denied a simple checking account. If EWS flags a problem in your banking past, your FICO score simply isn't going to save you. Moving on to Section 2, Know Your Legal Consumer Rights, protected by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Because EWS is officially classified as a nationwide specialty consumer reporting agency, they absolutely have to answer to federal law. Look at the snippet right here from the U.S. Code. It says a consumer reporting agency must make all disclosures once during any 12-month period without charge to the consumer. In plain English, you are legally entitled to see exactly what these banks are whispering about you behind closed doors, and it won't cost you a dime. But wait, it actually gets better. You aren't just stuck with that one freebie a year. There are a few specific situations where you can get it for free. First off, within 60 days of an adverse action. That's just a fancy legal way of saying a bank denied you an account. If they do that based on EWS data, they have to tell you, and you automatically get a free report to see why. You also get one if you're unemployed and plan to job hunt within 60 days, if you're on public welfare assistance, or if you suspect your file has inaccuracies because of identity theft or fraud. Okay, Section 3, How to Get Your Report, the step-by-step acquisition guide. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How do we actually get this thing? The process is pretty straightforward, but you really got to follow their rules. First, gather your required ID. That means your full legal name, social security number, date of birth, and your address history. If you're mailing it in, you'll need a clean copy of a government-issued photo ID. And look, I know giving out your social security number feels super weird, but these strict verification steps exist for a good reason. They keep your highly sensitive financial data out of the hands of identity thieves. Once you've got your info ready, you choose how you want to submit it, and then you just wait for them to process it. You've got 3 main options for delivery, so just pick whatever works best for your vibe. You can use their secure portal online at consumerservices.earlywarning.com, which is great for fast encrypted uploads. If you're someone who likes to actually talk to a human being, you can call them up at 1-800-745-1560 for over-the-phone authentication. Just remember, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. Or, if you want to go totally old school, you can literally mail paper forms and copies of your ID right to their headquarters out in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, the big question, How long does this whole thing take? 15. That is the magic number. Under federal law, EWS has a maximum of 15 calendar days to process and send out your report once they verify your identity. But actually, depending on where you live, it might be way faster. If you're a resident of California, Connecticut, or Louisiana, they have to do it in 5 business days. Rhode Island is 4 days. And in Maine, the law literally just says it must be delivered promptly, which is kind of funny, but it generally means fast. Let's move into Section 4, reading your EWS file and decoding the data. Okay, so the envelope arrives, you tear it open. What are you even looking at? It is definitely not going to look like your typical credit report. You're hunting for specific red flags that banks absolutely hate. We're talking about prior bank account closures, unpaid overdrafts, or negative balances. You also really want to check for serious allegations of account abuse, stuff like check kiting, or any suspected fraud alerts and return deposits. These are the exact negative entries that can immediately torpedo a new checking account application. And heads up, most of this bad news can stick around on your report for up to 7 long years. Now, as you're reading through, you might also stumble across something called an EWS deposit score. Don't panic, this score just illustrates how banks assess your risk in real time. But the absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that this score purely measures your banking behavior. It is 100% separate from your traditional credit score. Requesting your EWS report is never ever going to hurt your FICO or Vantage score. But what if you open your report and find something that's totally wrong, like a fraud flag that wasn't you or an overdraft fee you definitely paid? Section 5. Disputing errors and taking action. Clearing your name. You've got tremendous power here. First, pinpoint exactly what is inaccurate. Second, grab a formal dispute form. You can download this right off the NWS website and submit it through their secure portal, by mail, or honestly, even a fax machine if you still have one of those. Third, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, ENWS is legally obligated to do a reasonable, completely free reinvestigation. If the bank that reported the data can't verify it, ENWS literally has to correct it or wipe it from your file completely. I really want to emphasize how much leverage you have in this situation. If EWS drops the ball, like if they fail to investigate your dispute properly, or they carelessly keep reporting bad info that ends up hurting you, the FCRA gives you the right to seek actual damages. Yeah, you can literally hold them accountable in court for financial losses or even emotional distress caused by their reporting errors. You are totally not at the mercy of this big system. The law is firmly on your side.
Section 6. Keeping your EWS report clean. Evergreen best practices. So how do we future-proof your banking reputation? It really comes down to a few simple, everyday habits. Number 1. Avoid negative balances and habitual overdrafts like the plague. If you do get slapped with a bank fee, just resolve it right away, before the bank decides to close your account and report you to EDWS. Vigorously monitor your identity, and if you suspect any fraud at all, report it immediately to protect your record. And finally, treat this exactly the same way you treat your credit report. Just make it a habit to request your free EDWS file once a year, check it for errors, and keep your good name spotless. Before we officially wrap things up, just a really quick but super important note. The information we covered in this explainer is strictly for educational purposes only and doesn't constitute financial or legal advice. Since everyone's money situation is totally unique, please make sure to consult a qualified finance professional or a legal expert for guidance tailored specifically to your needs. Okay, we've officially pulled back the curtain. You now know exactly who this massive hidden gatekeeper is, you know your federal rights, and you've got the exact step-by-step tools to get your file and fight any errors. So I'm going to leave you with this. Now that you know the gatekeeper's rules, when will you claim your free EWS report and finally take back your financial power? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Go get that report, and I'll catch you next time.